Hi guys, gonna do a little screen recording right now off my iPhone. The first one I just did had no audio, so 5 minutes of my life talking to myself, which is kind of normal at this age. But anyway, what we're gonna look at is the U2A2 quiz. And the first question was well done. You collected like terms, so you have the 10x squared, and you put that together with the 2x squared, and you get the 12x squared, and then you kept going with the x's and then the constants. Well done there. We'll get more to that in a second, but I think I can do a better example with the second one. Number two, same thing. You got a bracket here. You got a trinomial, 3 terms. You have another trinomial, 3 terms, and they're separated. They're both trinomials are in brackets, and they're separated by a plus sign. So what you're going to do is open up both brackets, and when you do that, if there's anything in front of the bracket, you must multiply everything in the bracket by what's outside the bracket. In this case, there's nothing in front of the first trinomial. So when you open that up, even though there's nothing, what there actually is, if you think about it, is just a 1. So we have 1 6x squared plus 2x minus 1. So when I open that up, you multiply everything by 1, or you just leave everything the same, the way it is. So 6x squared plus 2x minus 1 is what this becomes. So it just stays the same. Here, the exact same situation is going on. You have a plus sign. So in front of this bracket is plus 1. So plus 1 times everything just leaves it all the same, and then you collect like terms. Now, you can move the terms. When you collect terms, what this student has done, and what I did here was I cut and pasted some of the answers you guys did on the quiz. Some really nice work was done by your classmates. So you can move the terms. So this student has done that. They have moved the 6x squared and then put it beside its like term, 4x squared. They put it right there, and then they collect like terms like that. You don't necessarily need to do that. You can just keep track of the terms. You don't have to do anything. Just do it in your head and say 6x squared and 4x squared is 10x squared. Or what I do is I circle the terms that are similar. So 6x squared and 4x squared are 10x squared, and then I have the 2x, and I look around, do I have any more x terms? And I do. And what you want to be careful with, though, is that you also, if you do this, when you circle or put a square around the term, you include not only the coefficient, the 2, but you include the plus here. Okay, so for example, with this minus 8, you don't want to circle this 8 and forget that it's minus 8, okay? So just be careful on that if you do that, and then if you do everything properly, you end up with this 10x squared plus 8x minus 9. The last question was not as well done, which wasn't surprising, and because a little twist here. This first bracket here, trinomial, when you open that bracket up, you end up with the same terms, with the same signs, okay? So x squared plus 2x minus 7 becomes x squared plus 2x minus 7. Here, though, you have a negative sign in front of this bracket. So picture a minus 1 in front of the bracket. So you're going to multiply everything by minus 1, all of these terms by minus 1. 5x squared becomes negative 5x squared. Now, and then minus 3x becomes plus 3x, and then minus 11 becomes plus 11. Okay, so all the terms get multiplied by what's in front of the bracket. Negative 1 is in front of the bracket, so you multiply, you change the signs essentially of all the terms. Okay, now I don't like to say that really, because you do change the signs. Okay, that's the shortcut, but what you're doing is you're multiplying everything in the bracket by what's outside the bracket. And if you remember that, then that'll help you later with more difficult questions, because later on we're going to do something like this, where you have not only minus a trinomial, but you might have minus 2 times a trinomial. So then you multiply everything by minus 2, okay? So once you did that here, once you change the signs, you're multiplied by negative 1 all the way through, then you collect the like terms like you did in the previous questions, and you end up with this right here, okay? So some mistakes with that one. Very common for that, very common for people to change just the sign of the 5x squared, for example, or sometimes they just forget, especially with the last term, to change that negative 11 to plus 11, okay? So be careful with your signs, and then collect like terms. If you have any questions, send me an email, but I'm guessing most of your questions and mistakes have been sorted out by now. Okay, keep up the great work. Thanks. Take care.